Hey guys, what's up? So, today we are going to start with the third chapter of strategic management. So, this is paper number 7B of IPC exam under CA, as you already know. The third chapter stands for strategic analysis. So, this is the first part of the third chapter presented by me, that is CA Ayush Sanghi. So, a little facts about me. As you already know, that I'm a practicing chartered accountant and I'm a teacher by passion, which is why I provide these high quality tutorials, accessible education through this education revolution by the name of Unacademy CA. So, remember the name of this education revolution, Unacademy CA. For any kind of doubts, refer to facebook.com at my handle CA Ayush Sanghi. So, starting with the third chapter, understanding what is analysis. Break this word, it means to analyze. To analyze. Literal meaning of the word analyze means to study. To study anything or to study something. To study anything related to business or anything related to anything that you are studying is analysis. So, when we are absolutely studying about a particular thing, that study leads us to thinking. Hence, analysis can be defined as a starting point of strategic thinking. It forces us to think. So, it's a strategic point at which we start to thinking. Hence, there are two types of analysis which are required. The first is situational analysis, and the second is strategic analysis. So the words are self explanatory, situational as well as strategic. Don't worry, we'll discuss both the words. Starting with situational analysis, first discussing what a situation is. Situation means any kind of event occurring in the present context. Anything happening in the present, which means current, which means status quo. Status quo, QUO. Anything happening in the present is considered to be a situation. So it refers to a general position or a general situation or an event within which a person or a business is operating at a specific point of time. So, a general position where a person or a business operates at a specific point of time or at a given point of time is known as a situation. That position can be anything, that point of time may be any point of time. Hence, wherever he is operating, at whichever point he is operating, is considered to be a situation he is in. When we start to analyze his position with respect to this point in time, it is known as situational analysis or SA. Situational analysis. So let's read the formal definition of situational analysis. It defines and explains the state of environment of a person or institution. Keywords are state of environment. Which environment is this person or an institution or an organization in? We decide the state of that environment. When we define this, we are considering the present state of the environment of a person, which means situational analysis, considering the present situation of that person or an institution or a business. So, what does this analysis provide? It provides the background and knowledge for planning. Any kind of background or knowledge about planning can be provided through situational analysis. There are certain factors to be considered before we conduct situational analysis or while conducting situational analysis. The first factor is product situation. Product situation means the current product what you are selling, that product's situation. So we ask a couple of questions to ourselves. The first question being, what is our current product? Which is the product that we are selling currently? Answer this question to understand what is your current product. As soon as we decide this, we jump to the second question in order to understand what is our core product. So let's say a company is manufacturing multiple products, so it can categorize its core product separately. So what is our core product? And thirdly, which is our secondary or product or a secondary service? Hence, in case of multiple product cases, we decide the core product and the secondary product. These three questions are answered in case of present product situation of a company. Product situation of a company. The second important factor that we considered is competitive situation. C. Competitive situation. Now, this competitive situation is a little different from our own competitive situation. Here we decide about our competitor's strategy, what the competitors think. So, think it from the opposite point of view vis-a-vis competitive situation. So, the first question that we ask ourselves is who are the competitors? Who are our competitors? हमारे competitors कौन है? The second question is how do they compare? Very, very important aspect. How do our competitors compare? We may be comparing ourselves to competitors, that is only one way of comparison or one way comparison. If the comparison has to be two way or opposite direction comparison, then we have to understand what is our competitor thinking or how is it comparing. And lastly, we understand the competitor's competitive advantage. Very, very important term. We've already understood this. We'll understand it again. In competition, every person or every seller has an advantage over its competitor. This advantage is known as competitive advantage. So क्या कहते हैं इस advantage को? Competitive advantage. So we decide what competitive advantage does our competitor have. It's a very competitive strategy where we answer all three questions not pertaining to our competition but pertaining to the competition itself. First one being who are the competitors, second one being how do they compare, and the third one being what is their competitive advantage, competitive situation. The third important factor for situational analysis is opportunity and issue analysis. Very, very important. O for opportunity and issue analysis. As we already know from our first chapter, SWOT analysis. So, out of opportunities and threats under SWOT, these are associated to external environment, and strength and weaknesses are associated with internal environment. So, opportunities and threats vis-a-vis external environment are things which are beyond our control. This is not within our control. So, things which are beyond control, they should be analyzed and studied first. So, opportunity and issue analysis focuses upon availability of opportunities in the market, whichever business we are operating in. So, the first situational analysis is availability of opportunities in the market. Second being, if we have to study opportunities, then we should also study the opposite, that is threats. Threats and uncertainties in the market. Both of them are important. We study them, we can only study them, but we cannot impact or change them because these are beyond our control. This we have already studied in first chapter. It is beyond our control, opportunities and threats. Whereas if we study the strength and weaknesses, SW, this is internal to the environment, pertaining to our own product or own business. So strengths can be maximized, weaknesses can be minimized. That may affect the business performance. So we, in short, discuss SWOT analysis in our third factor, opportunity and issue analysis. Last factor being environmental situation. So E for environment. Environmental situation tells us about every form of environment, whether external or internal, that impacts our business. External environment or internal environment. Evaluation of internal as well as external environment. So we study the sociological, which is related to society, economic, political and demographic factors pertaining to environmental situation. So remember this, everything that is within the ecosystem of business, that has to be studied from the point of view of situational analysis. Now, how I learn the code of all the factors is COPE. COPE. Remember this word, these are the four factors pertaining to situational analysis. C for competitive, O for opportunity and issue analysis, P for product situation, and E for environmental situation. Refers to COPE. So these are the four factors considered for situational analysis. Coming to the second type of analysis, it is strategic analysis. This is different from situational analysis. So, how do we define strategic analysis? Is that what is the ability or how does the organization consider of attempting to best combine, very, very important word, best combine its own capabilities. So, if it has the capability of combining its own capabilities or own USPs, it can be considered to be drawing a right strategy under conducting strategic analysis. This is done in relation to opportunities in the market. So, being a little optimistic, we are considering only the opportunities in the market, we are combining our own capabilities. What do we do by combining our own capabilities? We aim to accomplish the set of overall goal or target. So this is important. We have to accomplish our overall goal or target. Strategic analysis helps us to achieve our overall goal or target or any business's overall goal or target. Remember these differences between strategic and situational analysis. So the questions that are pertaining to strategic analysis or that it soughts to answer, फर्स्ट वन बीइंग हाउ माइट चेंज इन्फ्लुएंस यू, एक चेंज कैसे इन्फ्लुएंस करेगा, हाउ माइट इट इन्फ्लुएंस यू, इन्फ्लुएंस. Second being, what will be your response to change? Very, very important. If the change is influencing you, so how are you responding to that change? Is that positive? Is that negative? Is that neutral? How do you respond to change? So remember two questions. I R. Influence response to the change that is happening through strategic analysis. So, what are the issues that are to be considered for strategic analysis? Let's understand the issues properly. First issue being right strategy. So, this is not an issue, or there is no strategy known as right strategy. Why we use a right strategy is that a strategy which keeps on being developed. So, a right strategy is not developed overnight or a period of 1 week or 1 month or over years. It is evolved over a period of time. So, whatever you draw today, it might seem to be right after 5 years, after 10 years, or after 50 years. It is evolving over a period of time. That is considered to be a right strategy. All the forces that drive or constrain a strategy must be balanced. So, as we know that there may be many forces, forces from the external quarters, forces from the internal quarters that might disturb the harmony of the decision. Hence, whatever are the forces, whatever are the constraints, they should be balanced. Remember this. If they are balanced, then a proper strategic decision can be taken for conducting a right strategy. Strategy is a result of series of small decisions taken over a period of time. Again, as we understood that it evolves over a period of time. So it considers all possible effects of routine decisions on a goal. All the routine decisions can be considered on a goal through the possible effect of a right strategy. So we discussed the first issue, that is right strategy, which evolves over a period of time. Coming to the second issue is balancing. What do we need to balance? We need to balance our internal environmental factors and external environmental factors. These are to be balanced. So, whatever is internal to us, our potential to realize anything which is big, and the environmental situation, that is external factor. Both of them should maintain a balance, or if they can't, then we maintain a balance. So, the second issue is balancing. It means a perfect match between internal potential and environmental situation is not possible. So what we are discussing is perfect match, which means an ideal or a utopian approach. Hence, it is not possible. A balanced approach where both are on the same page is possible. Thus, a workable balance is desirable. Workable balance is desirable. इसकी इच्छा करी जाती है workable balance की. But it is not that it cannot be achieved, it can very much be achieved. So, workable balance is made by a person in the organization known as a manager. So, a manager is responsible for computing or assessing a workable balance. Manager's job is to balance opportunities and constraints. Mark it, very, very important. Opportunities and constraints are balanced by a manager's job. These constraints create a different degree of pressure which can or cannot be controlled by manager, but it is a headache of the manager. Hence, we only have to care about the balancing act under the second issue. Finally, the last issue within strategic analysis is risk. Very, very important, risk. So risk can be of many types. It can be dependent on many things. It can be dependent on competitive markets. It can be dependent on liberalization, recession, boom, technological advancement, and so on. So on may include hundreds of factors that are creating risk in this country. But what can we do? Do we have to learn all the 100 factors? We would just categorize the risk into two halves. First being external risk and the second being internal risk. External risk means any kind of risk which is external to the environment, not under our control and not under our particular reach. Hence, external risk means it arises due to inconsistencies between strategic and forces in the environment. Strategic forces as well as forces of the environment would bring about certain uncertainties, and those inconsistencies have to be bridged. So external risk is that inconsistency. Second being internal risk. It arises due to forces within the organization. So something which is in our control or those that are directly interfering with the organization on a routine basis. So day-to-day basis, internal risk, something that is impacting the organization internally. So two kinds of risk are there. First is external and the second is internal, something that is beyond our control. It has many inconsistencies is external risk. Something is which is within our control and it forces within the organization is internal risk. Every kind of risk, I repeat, every kind of risk needs assessment. So assessing the risk is important for every single practicing person or even a practicing chartered accountant. Assessing the risk is the most important aspect of any kind of business and strategic analysis. So remember all three issues pertaining to strategic analysis. So this was the end of the first video under this chapter. I request you to spread the word of this education revolution. You already know the name. It's Unacademy CA. Unacademy CA. So we are trying to provide high quality education. Support us through our Facebook page. Hit thumbs up, like or comment on our channels as given over here, URLs of Twitter. Spread this word of education revolution. Thank you so much for watching the tutorial. You guys are awesome.